All right, y'all, so it's time for a wife guy segment. Wife guy segment in the house here. The other day, Krystal got an invitation to be on Tomato Lorenzo's show. I feel like she's been gone for a while. She's been like, at least out of the public eye. Back in Trump's first term, I mean, if she said fucking anything, there'd be like headlines in various media outlets talking about her hot take. So she was like the it girl for a while in Trump's first term, but I don't know what happened. I guess she lost her Fox contract, or what happened was I think Fox hid her over at Fox News Digital, which is like the online version of Fox News, which, you know, just didn't attract that many eyeballs. She wasn't a big enough draw, and whoever else was there wasn't a big enough draw to get people to like purchase Fox News Digital and watch the stuff. So, but now she's with, I believe, the company Outkick, which isn't that Buck Sexton, hilarious name. And Clay Travis is his name, I think. Is that their outlet? I think that is their outlet. Anyway, she has a new show. Tomi Lahren is Fearless. And she invited on Krystal. I guess she does this thing where she invites, they call it Liberal Tuesday, I guess. But I don't know if I guess she doesn't know the difference between a liberal and a leftist. But here we are. So she invites Krystal. And man, did they get into a spicy debate. So let's take a look here. I'm not going to watch the whole thing. If you guys want to go watch the whole thing, you can. The channel is Tomi Lahren is Fearless, and yeah, go take a look at the whole thing. But we'll watch some spicy parts of it. Let's take a look.
If you think President Trump is a fascist, and if you think that I, by definition, as a conservative, am also a fascist.
Ooh, that's a good question. Trump is definitely a fascist. Definitely. I mean, at this point, I think it's fair to say the overwhelming majority of Trump supporters are fascist. If you are still supporting Trump, yes, you're a fascist. If you're still supporting Trump, it's not like literally everybody who ever voted for him is a fascist. In the first term, I think you could say there were certainly people who voted for him and then realized soon thereafter, like, that was a mistake, right? Those people, I think it's a different story. But if you still support him now, if you're part of the 37% that still support him, hell yeah, you're a fascist. All right. I'm going to stop interjecting every 5 seconds. Let's see what my wife says.
I don't think everyone who supports President Trump is a fascist. I do think that President Trump is a fascist, though. And I'll give you a perfect example, Tommy. It's kind of an awkward day for you to give this spiel because Trump is speaking to all the generals today in Quantico. And he just said that he's going to use the military against the enemy within, which is part and parcel of what he's been doing with deploying the National Guard in cities across the country. So when you ask about definition of fascism, the president really sort of gave his own definition of fascism today. I know you want to agree with that, but let me just make a broader point here.
Yeah, I want to dive into
Well, let me just make a broader point here because, you know, I think as someone who came from a side that did a lot of tone policing and, by the way, called out people who were policing rhetoric and doing the whole cancel culture thing, I would really caution you from going down this path, especially as someone who, you know, is a commentator, uses your words for a living. I know in the past I did a little bit of research. You called people who were enforcing mask protocols Nazis. President Trump has, of course, used his language in quite aggressive ways, including calling Kamala Harris and others fascist, radical leftists, communists, et cetera, et cetera. Do I think that that was inciting violence against Kamala Harris? Do I think you were inciting violence against people who were enforcing mask mandates? No. So I think we have to really maintain this commitment to First Amendment free speech.
Oh, I should point out that Tomato Lorenzo did a whole like intro monologue where she says that like, oh, calling us fascists is basically incitement to violence. And so here's Krystal saying, okay, well then you incited violence, right? Like everybody on the right incites violence all the time, way more than people on the left. If you say, hey, mean words, calling people mean words is incitement to violence. So this is her busting up that idea that like, hey, if you say that's incitement of violence, I guess we're all guilty, except you guys are even more guilty.
Even in the face of incredible crackdowns from this administration in ways that are truly extraordinary and quite dystopian.
I would love to hear about the First Amendment crackdowns from this administration and what you would classify those as. But
oh boy, Tommy, you done fucked up. You know you done fucked up, right, Tommy? You know you done fucked up, right? Because that's sort of like our thing is pointing these things out. So first of all, the obvious ones. He got Jimmy Kimmel fired over a joke he didn't like. He threatens RICO cases against protesters. Trump sued Ann Selzer over a poll he didn't like. He sued CBS for how it edited a Kamala interview. He sued the New York Times for $15 billion. He sued a book company because he didn't like a quote that they had of him in there. He threatens to de-license news outlets that criticize him all the time. He signed an executive order to try to punish flag burning with a year in jail, even though that's wildly unconstitutional. He sued CNN for $475 million for calling election denialism the big lie. I'll cut it off there. But that's not even half the list, bro. The guy has waged a war on free speech. Literally, trying to kick people out of the country if they're pro-Palestine, even if they're legal immigrants, trying to kick them out of the country. That's wildly against the First Amendment. But I love how she brought it. Please, give me a single example of Trump being anti-free speech. Oh my God. Do you do no research for your show? Like, have you been living under a rock since 2016? Like, even Trump supporters can acknowledge, like, oh yeah, he's like, he cracks down on the First Amendment, but since we don't like that speech, we're okay with it. Like, that's at least a more honest answer than like, he hasn't cracked down. Oh my God.
I want to go back to President Trump this morning. And again, I know that the liberals, I know that you all love it when he says something and it's like,
liberals, because he doesn't know what a leftist is.
Oh my God, this is the definition. He's going to use the military against us. Well, I would argue
he literally is doing that. He's literally doing that.
It's well within his rights to use the National Guard in D.C. And D.C. is a pretty great place right now, by all accounts, because of his
crime was already down like 30% before he did that.
Use of the National Guard there to keep people safe, mostly black and brown people, I would add. But also,
does she know how much of a lie that is? Like, is she aware that she's lying when she says that? This has nothing to do with keeping... Really? Trump's trying desperately to keep black and brown people safe as he's rounding up innocent brown people all across this country and sending them to fucking concentration camps. Oh my God.
When you are deploying troops to protect federal agents and federal buildings, you're also well within your right. That's not authoritarian. It's if you want to have Antifa lighting the streets on fire and terrorizing people in these cities, President Trump is going to protect his agents and he's going to protect federal assets. So I don't know what part of that you think is authoritarian.
Well, they're not doing that. Antifa is not doing that. You're making that up. There is no, like, imminent threat of Antifa hordes running wild and mass burning down city blocks. It's all, you're fucking making that up.
Me, it's just, if you guys want to play stupid games, we're going to make sure that we have our federal assets protected. Would you rather they just be out there and be attacked by Molotov cocktails and bottles and things being lit on fire around them, buildings being lit on fire? I mean, is that your preferred course?
I guess you just like buildings being lit on fire, huh? I don't know how she agreed to do this. This has got to be so hard. Sitting there, just every word. I want to interject with every word and be like, wrong, 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 wrong.
Well, first of all, I would say I don't think you should believe everything that you see on Fox News, Tomi, because that is not the reality in any of these cities. And I spend quite a bit of time in Washington, D.C. Second of all, local law enforcement exists for a reason. And there's a reason why we have a separation between civilian local law enforcement and the military. The military is trained to go after enemies. Do you see the American people as the enemy? Because that's the way that President Trump is framing this. He is saying
in DC,
the enemy within is the American people.
In the National Guard in D.C., have they gone after you? Have they militarized?
Have they gone after me specifically?
Or have they gone after anybody? Can you give me an example?
Hell yeah. Are you kidding? There's video of it. We covered video of it. They went after some innocent fucking like DoorDash driver or Uber Eats driver. And then people, good Samaritans around them were like, hey, where are you taking this person? They didn't fucking answer. Somebody said to them, you guys are ruining this country, man, talking to the ICE Gestapo. Then the ICE Gestapo turns around and says, liberals already ruined this country. These are like, let's stop fucking beating around the bush here. These are like deputized white nationalists and Proud Boys and groypers, okay? That's what they are. This is a war declared by Red America on blue cities. That's what this is. Let's stop pretending, oh, this is all about serious law and order and things of that nature. No! Trump wants to go full authoritarian police state. That's what he wants to do. So he's doing it. That's why we have Alligator Alcatraz, a.k.a. Alligator Auschwitz. That's why we have him trying to send 30,000 immigrants to Guantanamo Bay. That's why we have CCOT, the Gulag Supermax prison, concentration camp in El Salvador. Jesus Christ.
Of where the National Guard in D.C. has hurt an American civilian or has been militarized against an American citizen. Because they've been there for what now, a couple months? I haven't seen any example of where the National Guard has overstepped their boundaries or authority or done anything that would qualify as like this militarized authoritarian rule. I haven't seen it. Maybe you have.
Well, yeah, it's mostly ICE. It's mostly ICE doing it. The National Guard has had to like support ICE in doing that, right? But ICE has been the ones doing it.
Yeah, so I think there's a fair point that you're making there, which is that because we have the Posse Comitatus Act, you cannot actually engage in civilian law enforcement. A lot of what they've done is to back up ICE agents. So we can have a whole separate conversation about the aggressive abuses there and the way that American people feel that has gone way too far in a way that has been aggressively violent. A lot of what they have done in DC is frankly like a waste of taxpayer dollars, picking up trash and just standing around. However, that doesn't mean that we should accept the image and normalize having military soldiers. And in LA, they use active duty Marines in our streets. Furthermore, what is probably even more troubling and has gotten a lot less attention is Trump just signed this new national security memorandum that effectively labels anyone who opposes him and his views as a potential domestic terrorist. Now, that does come with actual federal resources that can do a lot more than just like pick up trash and sort of stand around while ICE does whatever they want to do. So you're right. In DC, in Chicago, so what we've seen so far, a lot of this is like fascist theater, but it is meant to intimidate. It is meant to send a message
thugs and
that
felons,
political opposition, that political...
Oh my God. Meant to intimidate thugs and felons. Unbelievable. Was it intimidating thugs and felons when you had ICE doing mass kidnappings and abductions and human traffickings, when they raided schools and meatpacking facilities and farms and Home Depots and 7-Elevens, when you had Stephen Miller berate ICE agents and say, why are you going after cartels? Why are you going after child sex trafficking rings? We need to make sure you drop that and go to your local Home Depot and raid the fucking parking lot for the day laborers. That's what they're doing. That's a fact. That's a fact. But she makes it seem like, it's all so innocent and they're all just stopping the bad guys. Like, it must be nice to live in such a childish world. So Pollyanna-ish she is.
Opposition will not be tolerated. And you have to put it together, Tomi. I genuinely want to ask you this question. Like, is there nothing that he's done that you feel like, it's a little too far?
That's such a great question. Because now, this is a test of intellectual honesty, right? That's what this is. Because if you ask me, hey, Kyle, is there anything Trump has ever done that you support? Oh, I can answer that easy. He pardoned Alice Johnson in his first term. This sweet grandmotherly lady who got caught up in a drug deal and was spending like life in prison over some bullshit. He pardoned her. He did the First Step Act. Great. Like, I can give you things like, oh, yeah, I like these. Why? Because I'm not a hack. I tell the truth, right? This is an intellectual honesty test. Can you name anything he's done that you disagree with? This should be the easiest question in the world, given that it's Donald fucking Trump, and he's ruined this country, certainly in his second term. Let's see what she says.
Like, we've had the tariffs, which have been wild and unilaterally imposed. We've got Palantir getting contracts to surveil anyone and everyone they want to. We have people being sent to a foreign gulag with zero due process.
Krystal literally framed it as, we have people being sent to a foreign gulag. And her reaction was, oh, I love that. Look, at some point, we just have to call you what you are. You asked at the beginning, would you consider me a fascist? The answer is yes. Not only you are a sadistic fascist. You are similar to Stephen Miller, and that you seem to get off on the idea of the pain of other people who are not like you, who are innocent.
We have National Guard being deployed in city after city after city. You have American citizens. I don't know if you saw this video.
Which cities has he deployed National Guard to besides protecting
LA,
federal?
DC, Memphis, Portland.
We invited him here.
What cities is it? Krystal lists like 12 of them. Oh, yeah. Like, again, do you follow the news? Are you aware you're doing a political show? Oh my God.
We invited him to Tennessee. Governor invited him to come clean up the streets of Memphis because they desperately...
Yeah, that's the functional equivalent of being a political cuck. Good on your Republican governor.
They need the help. So this is, I'm genuinely curious in this.
But Tomi, let me, can you respond to the question though? None of this you feel this is a little too far. Saying...
None of this is too far. None of this is too far. So not a single thing Trump has done. How about all the Doge cuts? So apparently Tomato Lorenzo, according to herself, is perfectly fine with pediatric cancer research cuts. She's fine with cutting the National Weather Service and getting worse forecasts as a result of that. She's fine with cutting Meals on Wheels and the CFPB and nuclear safety officials and the Department of Education and firing 83,000 veterans, cutting 50% of the Social Security offices. She's fine with all this. She's fine with all of this. Good to know. Good to know. You might as well fucking tattoo on your forehead, I'm not serious. Because that's what this is.
Policing comedians' monologues, right? He's not using lawsuits to threaten media, consolidating media in the hands of his allies.
I know that you're not trying to allege that Jimmy Kimmel or Colbert were taken off the air because of President Trump.
They obviously were. I mean...
What reaction did you think you were going to get, Tomato? I know you're not alleging this thing that obviously happened. Yes, I am. Oh. What is wrong with you? Everybody, we have eyes, we have ears, we know what happened. The head of the FCC, Brendan Carr, literally was on Benny Johnson's gay show. He's the biggest closet case in the country, by the way. And he said, we can do this the easy way or the hard way, talking to ABC. That says it all. And they're, oh yeah, your joke was out of line, sir. It wasn't even a joke about Charlie Kirk. They pretended it was a joke about Charlie Kirk. What a sick joke. Of course Trump wanted him off the air. Trump literally went on Twitter afterwards and said, great job. You got it. Next, do Jimmy Fallon and do Seth Meyers. Great job. He was bragging about it. Oh my God.
Kimmel in particular. Colbert, you could make another argument about.
That was about the merger. That was for the merger. But that's still effectively being fired by the regime if you think about it.
But the FCC commissioner came out and said we could do this the easy way or the hard way. And next thing you know, Disney pulls the plug. Why? Because they know that this president weaponizes the federal government against his adversaries.
Because they lost 1.7 million fucking subscribers. And they realized, oh shit, we fired him to be in good with the government, right? But actually it's going to cost us more money if we don't bring him back. So it all came down to the money, the bottom line. In both situations, they caved to the government because of the bottom line. Then when they realized, oop, bad move, they hired him back because of the bottom line. This is what it is under capitalism. Jesus Christ.
They're worried about their business deals because the backlash was so severe. Look, these people don't care about anything about their bottom line. I hope you agree with that. And they saw more than 1.7 million Disney customers cancel their Disney Plus subscriptions. So they were like, oh, we've got an even bigger problem here. But there is zero doubt that the intention is to chill speech, to make anyone who opposes this president think twice before they do that. That's what the university crackdowns are about. That's what the legal crackdowns are about. That's what kidnapping students off the street for writing an op-ed. That's what that's about. That's what the National Guard in the street is about. And that's what him saying to these generals today, we have to use the military against the enemy within. So you may not like the term fascist. You may not like it when it's thrown around by Democrats. I had no problem with it when it was thrown around by Trump, by the way. But that is, in fact, the accurate description of what we're seeing here. And so I have no problem with people trying to accurately describe the situation that they're experiencing in their own country.
Brutal. Mortal Kombat, flawless victory right there. So I'm going to cut it off here, but guys, go watch the whole 50 minutes of it. It was a beat down from beginning to end. But yeah, man. Look, I don't know. It's I give Krystal a lot of credit. First of all, she has to engage every day with conservatives. That's point number one. Point number two is she's accepting, an invitation like this. And as I watch it, it's like I lose faith more and more in dialogue and discourse because she's just saying things that are factually true and obvious and running into a brick wall of disagreement. And it's like, why are we wasting our times here? It's literally talking to a fucking brick wall. Like, what's the point? What's the point? Because if you don't see it at this point, you're never going to see it. If you don't see it at this point, you're never going to see it. If you don't see it at this point, you just are a fascist and you like fascism and you should be honest about that. You shouldn't play fucking hide the ball with it, right? I mean, I really think it's that simple. That's what it boils down to. Hey, y'all, do me a favor and like and subscribe. It helps out big time in the algorithm. Click the bell as well for notifications when videos drop and watch that video on screen right now. You know you want to.